2 days chasing me around. I go crazy when you're outside of my world. When you're outside of my world, no sound singing me to sleep. I don't want the room to breathe.
So I think you're misunderstanding the nature of existence. Existence can be defined as the entering into the predication or exemplification relation.
John's definition of existence, which summed up is simply the nexus of exemplification, appears to be subjective to realism, which I think is his worldview or perspective. Mine is objectively supported, is being, the state or fact of existing.
You're gone and I know you're just around the corner. We're just around the corner. It's not enough.
I feel John holds a position that is completely erroneous, and that's one of the motivating factors that made me create this video, as I wanted to get some objective feedback on if other people felt his position was erroneous or whether or not they feel he's right. Jonathan seems to hold the position that something can exist while having no kinetic actuality or potentiality. In other words, something can exist and do nothing. Here he writes, Dhorpatan, we have finally gotten to the heart of the issue. Quite certainly, something can exist with no kinetic potential. To say that all that exists needs kinetic is to dictate that existence must be within space, and this, as you have already pointed out, leads to a being in time. Actually, I didn't point that out, but I'll let that go for now. You are just slipping in metaphysical naturalism. Actually, I'm not, but I'll let that go for now. Existence has literally nothing to do with action. I wrote back, name one thing that does. Otherwise, your entire position collapses, as you would be illegitimate arguing from ignorance, negative evidence. And when I say kinetic potential and kinetic actuality, I mean that it acts and does something. So name one thing that exists that does nothing and has no ability to do anything. And he wrote back, I already did. Plus, even if there were virtually no examples in the spatio-temporal world, all this will prove is that action commonly accompanies existence within space. It does not mean that action is essential to existence. To assume otherwise is merely begging the question in favor of naturalism. I'll say it again, existence has nothing to do with action. This is perhaps the oddest ontology I have ever heard of. I actually feel his ontology is the oddest I've ever heard of. I cannot say this sternly enough. I think Jonathan's position is an abject attack on logic, reason, human cognition, and the very nature of existence. The inherent meaning and nature of existence presupposes action. The very word existence presupposes action, since that thing is being itself. It is conducting the activity of being itself. And for somebody like Jonathan to say otherwise is not only erroneous, but really is an abject attack on reason and the very nature of what it means to exist.
My eyes are waiting at the door, just like every time before. Time flies so slow. Time flies so slow. I feel 40 kinds of sadness when you're gone.
The last point of contention that I want to bring up is the example he gave of something that exists that does not have any kinetic actuality or kinetic potentiality. I asked, what was the example or examples? Then he replied, abstract entities, listed below. I am a realist and you are not. We went through this. Then I wrote, an abstract entity is not a real existence. It does not exist in actuality. Hence the term abstract. An abstraction is by definition something that exists only in the mind. an idea or concept. Then he replied, you simply assume this with no warrant. Unless you can provide warrant for your reductionist claim, I feel justified sticking with realism. Moreover, universals, numbers, propositions, indeed, even the human mind seem to make more sense on a realist view than on a nominalist one. I think that it has now been sufficiently shown that your whole argument rests on the presupposition that existence equals spatial temporal location, and this is merely question begging.